All right, so we've got six of these pieces with their slip knots tied in each end, and we've got 9 of these pieces, which will form these in the finished saddle. And I'm just going to start with one here, and I have this board for reference and kind of help me keep things straight. Hopefully it'll help with this demonstration. But on all these long pieces, the load bearing pieces, we had the centers marked. So that's where this comes into play. When you tie this net, life is easy when you have especially when you have an odd number of these rungs, and you start in the center and then work your way out. So that's why we mark the center on this piece. And then these 2 loops will come back to the center. So we're going to start with, here's our mark. If we can see that. I don't know how well we can see that here. But you can see it good enough, and mark the center, and that's going to be the center of our first knot. And I use a crown knot. I have this grid, and I have 3 inches side to side, and what would be on the seat of the saddle would be like the up and down direction. I have this marked every about 1.1 inches. None of this means anything once weight goes on it. So don't get all spun up over that. I have a couple. I made these pins, and I have holes here to fit. And this is just kind of like you're going to find that there's a certain level of frustration that goes into tying the saddle. But once it's set, it's stable, it's strong. This original with 10, let's see, we have 10 550 cords, 5,500 pounds, theoretically. And this one is up at, I think 6,600. And that's in addition to the tubular webbing I use for a fall restraint. So the way I start this, all these long loops are going to be joined by the crown knot in the center, and then the center of this line is going to be centered on. So I'll put a pin in one. It doesn't matter which one. And you don't need all these. Mostly you need you might need, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, say 4, whatever grid size you want to end up with. But I take the center of the knot at this pin, and this will form an S with the center And if you form this S the same way every time, the knot gets easier and easier to tie. So I'm going to take this as my center here. It's going to end up on top of the pin. And I'm going to have a loop on either side like that. I'm going to start like that. And then this piece, this one knot, is going to start. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down through the left side of the loop and keep this centered knot in position. And then this end goes under. See, I'll show this first without the pin, and then I'll do it again with the pin in place. So you form what we end up with is we have this S like this, and then this other line will form a S that interlocks with this one. So when we form this S, I like to start with this loop at the top left and take this line with the knot under. It comes up like that, comes down around everything, out the top, and it'll come over this line and then through this loop and down. And if we tie this right, we get this knot like this. They say it looks like a crown. It's almost like a square. It's got four lobes on it. So that's what we're going for. And then every one of these knots is going to be the same and the same orientation throughout the saddle. So starting over again, if we put our pin in here, find our center mark, form an S with our center mark here, and a loop up on the left and down on the right. And we're going to set that center mark just on top of the pin right here, just on top of it like that. Then we're going to put just the end of this down through here, and we can kind of bring this up tight. Take this end, and we're going to come underneath. I'm going to come underneath everything like that. Like that. And back out the top. This is on the bottom. We're going to come up. I'm going to come up over these two lines that are in the middle here, and then down through this loop here. And then we pull these different ends to draw that up. And the tighter we get it right now, the more stable it's going to be as for the next lines that we go. So now every one of these, we have 6 of these that form 12 lines running. We'll be running across our backside. and we have these loops in the end. It's like a sliding knot. I'm going to take, we're going to, each one just going to repeat as we go down. So as we go down this board, we're going to have one where it's just a center line, center mark, tied on the pin, and then the next one's going to be these knots. And the way we position these is we have the part of the knot that's fixed to the end. That's fixed on this end. This knot's fixed here on this, and then this end slides. This one slides through. The same thing here. We have the part that the knot's tied on the end, and then the working end of the line where the knot slides on. So the termination end with the knot on it, we want them to form the loops like we had before, but we want the portion of the knot that slides to be against each other. So this end is going to be up, and then this end is going to be down like that. So that the knot, if the knot draws up, each knot draws up, it's towards the inside this way. And we're just going to tie this next one pretty much the same way we just tied this first knot. So here's our upper, picture this where these two are connected together and they form one continuous loop. So here's our upper left, lower right. We take this line, it comes up through that loop, then it goes down and under everything like that. We're going to take a pin and we're going to put that pin on through here, and then with this line on top of it like that. So then it comes around this top one, and it'll come down through this here, like this. Oh, something happened to us here. Start again. I want to keep see if I can zoom in here more, show this better. So I'll start again here. So I have these two loops. I have the end that's tied to I have the knot that's tied to the end towards each other like this. This line is going to come up through this loop here and then down around this one, back up that way, like that. I can put this pin in here. So now this can come down around, and it comes through, down through here. Like that. And then when we pull each end of this knot, it should cinch up like that. If we pull it off of here, we look at these knots on this side. On this side we have this these 4, and we have the 4 here. And we look at the other side, we'll have this line that crosses like that. These two will cross. This one runs this way, and under it one runs the other way. And if we're tying these the same way every time, that pattern will repeat all the way down. So this is our first centered loop with our stopper, with our fisherman's knot, and our crown net knot, 2 of them. And then we take another one, I'll put this back in here. Gotta keep that tight. So now we take another one of these long pieces and find the center mark again. Maybe I missed one. Grab another one. So here's a center mark. There. And I don't have great lighting today, I apologize for that, but it is what it is. So here's our center mark. We have this pin. We form our S. Form our S like that again. With the center right there in the center. And we're going to take this line and set it in here. Put our pin in. And then this line comes under. We'll go under and to the left of this pin. Like this. Over the, comes around over the top. And down through this loop. I'm making sure, I don't know if you can see it here, but I'm making sure my center mark stays on top, right on top of that pin. And then I can draw everything up. Draw everything up. I'm going to draw up the line that forms this line mostly first. And then evenly draw this up. Try to keep our center. After we get these, this first center rung all tied in, we can make sure these loops are pretty much even left to right. But I'm gonna tie these up tight right now. Like that. And then we have another, we have our next, where we have these knots again. Remember the end portion here will be down towards the other one. And this one will be up. This one will be, this will be up. And then this forms that, kind of forms the S. I'm going to bring this up through this one. Up over top of this one. Down around underneath both. Like that. And then I can put my pin in here. And then we can come up over both of these loops and then down through this one. And once we get these four tied up, I mean these the center rung tied up, we can go back, center everything up, and then once we have these all these loops centered up left to right, evened out, we'll go back and then we'll start tying this line to the right, and then we'll shift this over to here and tie the one on the left. The knot the S gets formed the same way every time. So we find the, can move this down, put that here. We find the center mark in this one. Right there. Make our S. The center mark right in the middle there, and then that center mark goes on top of this pin. This comes up through, down under, like that. Over the top. I'm going to keep the center here. Draw it up tight. Come down here. This pin in. These loops kind of center. They have to. They're the ends of the line. We've tied our knots with the same kind of knot, tied the same way, and we have the tag end all about the same, but none of this is really super critical. We have, so we take the part of the knot that's tied to the knot that's on the let's see, the end, and we put them towards each other like that, and form our S. This comes up through, down underneath, and across again, like this. Comes over the top, and then comes around that loop, but through this loop. Then the ends can be drawn up. Take another one. Center. Come on through, down, and across. And same thing goes with all these knots. There are other people on the internet that show how to tie this crown knot. They show it different ways. I found it simplest way of tying is like I showed here. You form that S. You come up through the loop on the one. You go down around both of them and across. You come over the top of this other one and then down through the loop here, and then you'll have that classic shape. Again, we're going to put the ends towards each other. And come up through, down around. Let's see. Here's the end. This loop, this half of the loop. And here's the end. We want this half of the loop towards each other, towards the center line of the knot. I'm going to take this one and come up through that, over top, under that one, and then where it crosses, I'm going to put this here. It helps position it and helps us tie it. So, and then I'm going to draw this up. Then we come over top of this. Come over top of this loop. And then down through this loop. tight. And draw it up tight now. I'm looking at my end here, and it looks like my spacing isn't going to quite work out. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to go back through and starting up here, I'm going to move that knot up a little and pull this tight, and I'm going to move these up a little each one and work my way down through. And the way I can do that is start here, and I want to move this knot that way. I can pull this rung down, pull this down, pull the slack up around here, and then pull it down again over here. And now that knot will be moved up that way. And it is what it is. One of the things you have to put up with when you make this saddle is adjusting these spacings is just a necessary evil, I guess. I haven't found a way of. If you had a machine that could tension this as you went, you might get away with it, but once I've had these set and I've used the saddle, they really haven't moved on me. If they moved a little bit, I went back through and straightened them out, and everything worked out after that. But can you almost have to tie it once and get them all on there, and kind of get a weight on it. You get a weight on it, and you tie this off to something, and you set a weight on it, and you go back through and you even these all out for spacing, one at a time, and then go on to the next rung.